Hi, everyone. I'm Summer,
I'm Carrie.
and this is Hopelexia Podcast.
Join us to talk about sex, drugs, and self improvement.
I'm going to start recording.
A cardigan.
It's going to be a what?
It's gonna be a cardigan. It's
Nice.
called a granny hexagon cardigan because you
That's a
like
weird name.
you build it out in like a hexagon like pattern. Like you start it as like a hexagon, and then when you start like building it up, oh my gosh, where's the thing? When you start building it out, it builds from the armpit out like that.
Okay.
So then you're doing like a whole half of the cardigan and you're building the body and then the
Okay.
arm and you just connect it. It's
Okay,
super
that makes
freaking cool.
sense. That's
I'm excited.
awesome. That's out. Welcome to Crafting Hour with Carrie.
Yeah.
Okay, so seriously, the series we've been doing on psychopathy is super important. But I think we're all
Yes.
getting a bit. It's been really intense, and it's been really a lot. And I think we've covered quite a bit of it. We'll still have some. Um, we'll still have some shows coming up about that, but it's not going to be everything. We're going to put some more of our normal content in here. And today you're just going to get to hear us ramble about. So my project isn't as cool and exciting as hers. I'm repurposing all of this crap that I buy, these Dr. Pepper bottles, these plastic bottles. I'm actually going to, this is going to sound weird, right? So I'm filling them with sand. Okay. So that's what I'm doing. I'm prepping the bottles to fill with sand because you can actually make a wall out
Hmm.
of the sand filled bottles, and it has a really high insulation value. And I need to insulate under my house. So since it's trash that I'm throwing away anyway, I might as well reuse it instead of it going to a landfill. Because even
True.
when you put it in the recycle bin, like 90
Doesn't really
something
get
percent
recycled.
of plastic ends up in the landfill anyway and does not get recycled in the
Yeah.
US anyway. So that's what I'm doing. I am filling bottles with sand.
I mean, like, that's a really cool idea to like do. Did you just like know that or did you read it somewhere?
I have
'Cause it doesn't seem like common knowledge to like know, but also you know a lot of things
I
I
went
don't
and
know.
looked it up, right? Like I went and looked it up because I knew I had seen structures because I had done a lot of research and stuff over the years because about like natural building product, and reusing and I've been looking for ways to reuse things. Um like I've built the tiers out of here on the property to help reduce erosion.
Hmm.
We've been landscaping the place too. Hold on. Sorry, I had to cough. This weather's got me. Um, and out of like old tires because I found a bunch of old tires that had been dumped out in the woods. So,
Those are
and
so
I
useful.
Right. And so I've been using those as, to help build the tiers to stop the erosion because there's no topsoil on my place. I'm having to rebuild topsoil. Um, but because of where it sits in relation to the road, it just all washes downhill, right? So built those up, and I knew of from many years ago people using bottles like glass bottles in construction,
Hmm.
right? Constructing walls. And I had been trying to figure out how to build a quasi cellar. I've got a big rock shelf about 4 foot down. I can't go all the way in the ground for like a regular root cellar, but there's ways to build it where you'd like earth berm it so it still stays cool. And so I'd been trying to think of things I could use. And I had previously built a retaining wall out of bottles before. And so I was like, hey, I wonder what the insulation value is. It's got to be high, right? If they're filled with dirt. So I Googled
Hmm.
it. I'm like, I Googled building walls with plastic bottles and searched through it took a few pages because everybody does videos now, and I'm not going to sit there and watch your 10-minute video. Like
Yeah.
I need the
Or
just tell
like
me.
8 minutes of it as an intro.
Right. And that, which is very hypocritical, I realize, because I ramble on here a lot. But I just assume that everybody logs in here to see how beautiful and crazy we're going to be at any given time. So
Facts.
I don't feel so bad
Bloopers.
about rambling. But anyway, so I looked it up and learned a lot of the different techniques that people use it. And I'm like, hey, this will fix my problem because I've been trying to, like, I'm putting underpinning under the house, but that doesn't really insulate anything. And I've been
Hmm.
trying to figure out a way to insulate, the best way to insulate to make sure like my pipes don't freeze and stuff underneath.
Right.
And this is a way that doesn't cost me anything except for when I buy the mortar. So I'm like, this is perfect.
I mean, reuse how you can. We have like, so we decorate our house for Halloween like super hard.
Mhm.
Love it. Well, like this year and last year we did. This year we
Mhm.
built a Dracula castle. And by we I mean my other one of my roommates because I don't know how to build things like that. I need directions. But we used like insulation foam panels for the
Mhm.
castle. So we have a bunch of those left, and I'm trying to figure out what we can use with those instead of just like throwing them away.
Oh yeah, don't
Um,
go this way.
so I have a project that I want to do with like where our hot water heater isn't very well insulated, like it's just bricked in, like in that part of the house because our house is super freaking old. Um, and so I was researching, and you can use that to like insulate in where your hot water heater is, as long as it's not like up by the flume or like not touching it. So we'll also be reusing for that, and then see if we can insulate our garage a little bit more. So
That's
yay,
cool. Yay for
reusing.
using. Yeah, because I hate throwing things away. And part of my goal here has been to have, I try to do things with as little expense as possible. Like I don't want to buy new shit, right?
Right.
So I spend a whole lot of, well, I mean, for one, like I'm not in poverty anymore, thank goodness, because that was not a good time. But I also don't have unlimited money, right? And so many people just throw shit away, and it drives me crazy. Like it's so wasteful. Americans are so wasteful, and I understand consumerism. Consumer culture is all a lot of folks know, but seriously, what the fuck? Like, why are you throwing away perfectly good stuff? So I spent a lot of time like on Marketplace, online and stuff.
Hmm.
And at first, like when Penguin started staying here, he was like, it was driving him crazy because I had all this stuff like, and there was no room in the house. And like, trust me, there is a plan here, right? Because I had
I
like
just
all
have
these
to do
cabinets.
it.
Well, I know it's just like, but because I have this plan in my head on how this is going to be built out, and it's probably going to be 2 years before it's all done, right?
Hmm.
It makes no sense to have all this disjointed stuff just laying around that doesn't. It's like, what the fuck is this for? Like, I understand it looks like I am,
A hoarder.
yeah, definitely, and delusional. Like, this, none of this stuff makes sense until I started putting it together and he helped me. I'm like, well, see, part of the reason, because I had these two TV armoires, right? Like, and they were just kind of sitting out. And I'm like, well, the problem is I can't pick them up by myself. And
Right.
if you can help me put them where they go, this will make a whole lot more sense. So, because what I'm doing for the kitchen cabinetry, I refuse to go buy new cabinets because right now, because now that everybody's got flat screens and all of this stuff, remember back in the day when we were young, back in the 90s and early 2000s, like they sold these really nice solid wood TV armoires, right? And they were to keep your TV in, and and some of these are really solid. Like they are amazing
Yeah.
work. Yeah. And I remember they sold them as like, this is furniture you can pass down, as heirlooms and stuff, right?
Quite
Well,
literally.
yeah. And, they would compare them to like, the big, the nice bedroom set, that you got that's 100 years old. They would use that as a selling point. This will last forever. Well, now everybody's got flat screen TVs. They don't need these cabinets, and they're in the way. And a lot of people won't reuse. They're just throwing them out. And
And they're
so I
like
spent a
actual real wood, like weigh a
solid
million
oak.
pounds, but like it's never gonna like break on you like easily. Not never, but like it's not gonna break on you easily, and like
Right.
it's gonna keep your stuff like protected real well forever.
Right. So my kitchen cabinetry is and so I have one of the big ones, the full size ones, that's
Hmm.
like 7 feet tall, 6, 7 feet tall. Um, and then I have, so that's the oldest one, right? Because those were the ones that were made for the TVs that were like, yeah, the big backs on them, right? And then I have two that were the ones for the TVs to sit on, right? The
Hmm.
counter. I don't know if there's a different name for those. I don't remember, but you know what I'm talking about. And
Hmm.
so these are from it would have been late 90s, late 90s, early 2000s, because those have the DVD dividers in them.
Hmm.
So they're a little bit newer than the full size one I have. So on the one side of the kitchen, it's got what's going to happen. They're currently sitting there, but they all need to be restained till they're all the same color.
Hmm.
Um, but you can definitely tell the era they came from because they're all that honey oak color. That was so popular.
Nothing
And
against honey oak. I'm sure like it's lovely and a lot of people like it. It's just not for me.
I don't mind it. A matter of fact, that's kind of the color this looks like naturally, that this wood looks
Hmm.
like. So I don't mind it, but my ceiling is just tugging roof pine. So it
Hmm.
looks an awful lot like that color anyway. So I'm like, I can't do that much of that color. I'm gonna stain on like a darker color. But I'm waiting until I get my dining room table because that'll be the last piece of wood furniture in that same room. So I can stain
Hmm.
them all at the same time. Because if you don't know, we have learned the hard way. If you open that stain, it oxidizes and it changes colors. So if you don't stain everything at the same time, you may not end up with the same colors.
Yeah, it's gonna
So
look real weird.
yeah, so I've got, yeah, so one of the on one side, it's one of those shorter ones, which by the way, these people, I don't know, I think I messaged y'all when I got it because I'm like, man, people with money, like they really they buy stuff and like their stuff looks brand new like 30 years later.
Hmm.
It's still got the casters on it. When you buy furniture, you're supposed to take them off, right? Those are just for moving it. It still has them
Yeah,
on there. It is like in perfect condition. And these people like raised kids and grandkids in this house. I don't know how the fuck like it is so
it was
perfect.
probably one of those show living rooms. Like
I guess
you don't even
so.
sit in there like it like you maybe sit in there for like 5 minutes for conversation and then you hop out. You leave. You don't stay in
Maybe,
there.
or maybe we're just feral kids. I don't know. But it was
Is there any other way to be?
I don't know. Oh, none that I know of. So yeah, so it's perfect. So it'll be on the bottom, and then that tall one will sit on top of it, and
Hmm.
that'll get it almost to the ceiling because I have really high ceilings in there.
That'll be
So
nice.
yeah, it's gonna be really nice. It holds a whole lot, and then once I get it in, I'm using it already, but I don't have the shelving built in because I have to finish the trim on the wall behind before I can actually attach it
Hmm.
because it's all going to be anchored to the stud walls. And then on the other side, I've got a bigger one of those short entertainment centers. And then I've got a barrister bookcase that's going to go on top of it for all my books. So that's, well, not all of them. They're not all going to fit in there, but for some of them. So that's going to be my built in cabinetry.
It's gonna be
And
so
I
freaking
dare
cool.
somebody to come in my house and say, oh, it's dated. Because I will throw you out like
As you
on
should.
Fresh Prince when when Uncle Phil like just literally throw him out the door. That's what I will do.
I freaking love when Uncle Phil does that.
Right? Because this stuff, I mean, these were pieces like they were just trying to get rid of. They're like, if nobody buys it soon, I'm going to throw it away. I'm like, please don't throw it away.
That would make me so sad. Like it's so hard to find like good condition, like solid wood pieces anymore because it's always that like
Particle board.
yeah, I always want to say fiberboard. I don't know, I don't think that's a thing, but that's always what my brain wants
I
to
think
say,
that
and I
is a
still think
thing, but that's more. I think that's more like that. Stuff that's just a step above cardboard that like in the drawer bottoms and not the
Oh,
sides. Something like that. I could be wrong about that.
I
If
have
somebody
no
knows more
clue.
about this stuff than us, feel free to let us know because
Teach me something new.
we are not furniture manufacturers. We do not know this. I just know I wanted solid wood that
We got we have a new neighbor that she bought the house next to us, and um one of my roommates is like friendly with her, and she gave us a old like display cabinet that's real wood, and it has like iron handles and stuff on it, and it's really pretty. And she gave it to us for free, which was pretty sick. And
nice.
it has all of our like board games and stuff in it. And I'm an avid DVD collector because I am just convinced that like if I can just get DVDs of all the things that I like a lot, I can just get rid of all of my subscription services and just do them when I need
Probably.
to. Because I'm also convinced that like when the apocalypse happens and we don't have subscription services, I will be set because I will have all of my DVDs that I can
Have
watch.
you watched that movie, Leave the World Behind? It is on one of those subscription services.
I think so. Maybe what
It's Julia Roberts. It's a new movie.
I no then. I have not.
Okay, so watch it, please watch it, because that's yeah the DVD collection. There is a bunker in there with like a very like a room full of DVDs because they were prepared for the apocalypse to be fully entertained. So yeah, watch that. You
That's gonna be me. Like straight up. I have so many. When this sounds funny to say. When Blockbuster was going out of business, my
this is
parents would
how old we
go,
are, folks.
listen, no shame in my Blockbuster game. When it was going out of business, my parents would go and they would get the Blu-ray DVD combinations and they would keep one of them and then send me the other one for a lot of movies. And so I have a bunch of movies that don't have like cases or anything, so there's some random like Blu-ray cases or like CD cases, but
Mhm.
I have so many and it's kind of a problem. I even got rid of a bunch and I still have so many. There's so many movies that I'll like never watch that I had a bunch of, and so I'm gonna like donate them. A bunch of them were like scratched up and like unwatchable because of how scratched up they were. But I'm super excited about it. I also still have my old CD collection from high school.
Nice. I have none of
Uh,
those things, unfortunately.
I
When I got divorced, I did not get a lot of my things back.
those were the my CD collection and like one other box of like just random like keepsake stuff. Those are the last things I got from my grandparents before we went no contact. So those are like all the things I have left from my like middle school, high school collector days of when I just collected everything. I have all the CD cases, like the little inserts and stuff that go in them. I'm set.
Nice.
I even have a bunch of my old like CD mixes that I burned off of LimeWire.
Oh my god, I remember LimeWire.
And those CD mixes are so good. A lot
Nice.
of them say like LimeWire like in the middle of the song or like whatever it was that they used to say in the middle.
Man.
Oh, so many computer viruses, but you know, I had to get my music, had to get my jams.
No, man. So, do we have any personal updates to give the folks?
Um,
Who you doing lately?
I
This is how we talk in real life too, guys. This is not for
facts.
your benefit.
No, this is just how things are. Uh, I started seeing somebody new a couple months ago because I got out of a relationship a while ago. That was
Uh-huh.
not great, but um, it's been pretty great. Saw him yesterday actually.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
but it's still pretty fresh. I haven't even told him about the podcast yet.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So I just started talking because we had this conversation the other day, right, on the at the Halloween party about, Penguin and we're apparently no longer gonna have sex.
hmm
So, or I was told not never. I don't know what the fuck that means, but okay, like if you don't want to, that's fine,
hmm
obviously. Um, and I don't want to ask too many questions. Like I don't want to be like, can we talk about this? Because I feel like that's might feel like
Yeah,
I'm trying to change his mind, and I don't. I just really like to
yeah,
understand why people do things, but
same.
so I'm not asking because I don't want it to feel like I'm trying to be some way because I'm not. And but I had told him I'm gonna start seeing other people then, and he said okay. So hopefully that doesn't create a problem when it happens. Um, so
Hopefully, like
anyway,
you
so
told him.
yeah, like we had the conversation. So I am going to meet this person in a few days. So that will have should have already happened before this airs. Um, and things seem to be going well and stuff. He found not this podcast, the original one, Broken. Because at first he's like, what he said was, I guess he was trying to be cute, and he's like, I found this this great podcast by these 240 something women that's about blah blah blah, and I'm like, wait a second. He said 40 something, so it can't be with Carrie. So I asked him like, what's it called? He told me like, oh, that was the original one. So yeah,
Way
so he's
back in the
learning a whole
day.
lot about me.
That
Um,
is that's some throwback episodes,
yeah, apparently he Googled my name,
and
and
that
I
came up.
guess the old, either he got it. I know he went on my website. I don't know. It came up before this one did apparently, and then he finally was like, okay, I'm gonna stop listening because he's like, I feel like I'm learning a lot more about you than you are about me, and that seems unbalanced. And I'm like, oh, you gonna learn a lot because I warned him like, you're gonna learn a lot more about me than you ever wanted to know if you keep listening. Like, I don't mind
Yeah,
because that's less I have to tell you, but
like you'll just get me. I won't have to tell you nothing. You'll just
well,
get it.
so far it hasn't scared him away, and he listened to the tentacle porn bestiality, and what else was that? Uh,
Uh,
there was something. It was the 30 things in the title. I don't remember.
what was it? It was
I
like
don't
tentacle
know.
porn, bestiality, and
I don't know. Micro penises. It was
yes,
micro penises.
yes. I'll buy.
And yeah, he listened to that one. So he's like, okay. And he's like, so I had been afraid to bring up the topic of sex with you because I wasn't sure how he would feel about that. And he's like, but apparently you're really comfortable talking about it. Yes, yes, I am.
Just wait till he gets to this new one, and we have our sex toys just out and about, displayed for everybody, and we talk about them.
Yes. That was a
I'm
good
wondering,
episode too.
that was a good episode. I'm wondering, like, what's happening because I'm having friends that are finding the podcast too. I don't know, like, if we're getting like more people like watching or listening or something, so it's just getting spread more.
It
But I'm
seems
having
pretty
friends
static. It
like ask,
I mean, I haven't looked at the stats on the podcast side of things. The podcast feed, but the
hmm
YouTube views seem pretty static um lately, which I assume is because, we had so much on one topic. It was probably that same group of people who were watching. So I don't know, but I think the algorithms are getting more
because
better
I'm
at
having
putting
friends that are
things like
just finding it.
people you're close to are, like started getting, like I was near somebody, right? Like with a friend the other day. And so all of a sudden I start getting suggestions to, on social media to friend their family and
Mhm.
to, and content from people they know. Like, it suggested to me Penguin's daughter's YouTube channel that she actually hasn't recorded on in years. And it was just because I guess we had been sitting there
Oh,
together,
yeah.
right? So I guess it matches us up, and we're
Interesting.
on
Because
YouTube. It was weird. Um, I do
the
know
friends that
that
are,
it suggested that TikTok, we popped up in his TikTok For You page. And I don't know if he's ever watched any of them. My face just came. He was showing me something on TikTok on his phone, and my face came up. I'm like, why is my face on there? No, 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 do not watch that. So I don't know if he's been watching them, but I blocked him immediately. Because I'm like, we have all of these same conversations with each other, but it's different. It feels very voyeuristic for you to watch it.
yeah. I'm wondering like if that's what happened too, because all of the friends that are saying that they found the podcast were here for the Halloween party,
Yeah, messed
like
everybody
in
up.
my house, like on the same Wi-Fi as me. So I'm wondering like if maybe that
Probably.
was
Do they
it.
like it at least?
I don't know. I haven't um they're like not friends that I talk to regularly. And they're
Well,
not
they
on
may not
socials a
talk to you
lot.
anymore after they hear. So this is how we talk
Listen,
about
I'm
it.
sure like they're used to it because they've known me for years, and like a lot of the people that came were like they're super chill people and they're very like open about things too. So I'm sure like they're probably like, oh, what's this? And then they watch and they're like, oh my God, this
Micro
is not what I was
penises.
expecting, but whatever. If somebody just like randomly came across the tentacle porn episode though, they probably would stop talking to me. So I'd be like, how do you know about that? Well, don't ask questions you don't want the answers to.
Right?
Ugh.
Boy.
No, I haven't told the guy that I started saying about the podcast yet because I like you said, like it's weird having someone that you like sleep with or like want to sleep with or something, like go back and like watch those things because it feels
Well,
odd.
I just don't like them
Like some of
because
the things like
I don't mind them hearing the other stuff, like the stuff I've done with people, other people, stuff like that. That doesn't bother me. But
it's
I
like
don't
the
want them to
emotional
feel
parts of it.
I don't want them to feel some way about me talking about them. Like, I give them code names like Penguin, obviously, but
Hmm.
still. I
Yeah,
felt real weird about that one that the tentacle porn episode, when I realized that I think that the person I was talking about when we were talking about horse genitalia, I'm pretty sure he listened to that episode. He never said anything, but he would say little sideways things that were like sort of related to other things that were said in that episode. I think he was trying to get me to ask. And I'm like, nope, not having that conversation with you.
it didn't happen. It just if I don't talk about it, it didn't happen.
Well, it's like,
I,
if you're
like
not going to bring it up, I'm not going to say anything.
there's nothing because like I just started seeing this guy, but like so far there isn't like anything negative that I could say because he's pretty chill dude. He's a dad, like a good dad. We connect, we have a good time, like it's great.
Nice.
So we're doing good. He's non-monogamous, so I mean I am too, but like he's my only partner right now. But
Yeah.
he
Which is
has a
apparently
few.
confusing to people, to monogamous people. Like, just because
Like
we're non-monogamous doesn't mean like,
I always have like multiple partners or something. Like sometimes I
right.
just
It's
want
the
to have
same
like
thing as
one
like,
partner.
it's the same thing that we have to tell people all the time about bi people, right? Like, just because if
Hmm.
you happen to be in a relationship that's with somebody of a different gender, that doesn't make you suddenly not
Yes.
bi, right? It's the same thing. Like, non-monogamy is about how we see and how we view relationships. And even if because I only had one partner, Penguin
Hmm.
had been it for a few years now. And doesn't mean I'm suddenly monogamous. I
Right.
just
It's just like in that moment, this is
I simply don't believe that compulsory monogamy is ethical.
agreed.
So that doesn't change no matter how many partners I get.
He and I talked about that last night, actually, funnily enough.
Really? How did that
Yeah.
go?
It was good because we just talk about like whatever all the time. And he was telling me about one of his partners has been like going through some stuff lately, so that's why we haven't seen each other a lot, but we still talk like every single day.
Mm-hmm.
And then we were talking about my Tinder escapades that have
Mm-hmm.
been real weird lately. Um, like I freaking had a guy that I matched with and talked to for all of like an hour or so. I fell asleep. He sent me 7 messages on Tinder in the span of like an hour and a half, and then unmatched me before I could read them, which was really rude. I want to know what he said. I don't really care what he
Yeah.
said. I just want to know because I'm nosy.
No, I'm sure it was something very hateful. Like,
100%.
what the fuck is wrong with people? Like, okay.
No,
Yes,
man.
yeah, being on Tinder and Tinder is different now than it used to be. The
Yeah. I don't like
uh
it.
well, all the
Never
apps
really
are.
liked
It's
it.
very ugh. Um I don't know. I don't have a word for it. I've been trying to think of one lately, but um I had one guy that I had been talking to and not talking very much. Like we had talked for, a little bit one day. I didn't hear from him for like a couple weeks and then suddenly he texts me again. Like we had
Hmm.
talked enough that I gave him my number. So we had talked quite a bit and then suddenly I'm not hearing from him. I guess he works on the road, right? So he went off to work and apparently doesn't.
Doesn't tell people that he does that.
Right. Apparently, you don't exist until he comes back home and he's bored, I guess.
Hmm.
And so then he starts texting me again and I'm talking to him and I was planning on meeting him, but he's like, now, mind you, when he hit me that morning with the what you do, the WYD, which pisses me off. I'm like, first of all,
Like,
none of your fucking
just,
business what I'm doing. Uh,
right? Like, you want to
well,
ignore me for a while and then ask me what I'm doing? No.
well, and
Mm-mm.
he's like, but I told him, I resolved several years ago. I think I've talked about this on the old podcast. That when somebody asks me a question like that, I'm going to tell them the truth. What are you doing? How are you doing?
Hmm.
You don't really fucking care, so don't
Yeah.
ask me what I'm doing. It makes me angry. I'm like, you don't actually want to know. You just don't want to do the mental labor to come up with something substantive to actually say to me, and that's
Yeah.
disingenuous, and I don't like it. So when somebody asks me how I'm doing, I tell them the truth. Usually, I don't feel great. My body hurts. What else do you want to know? How many details do you want, really?
Right.
And so he's like, what are you doing? And I told him, I'm like, I'm traveling. I was headed to DC. I'm like, I'm at the airport trying to get this stuff done. And so like I was driving we were driving to the airport at that point. And I'm telling him like, I'm trying to get to the airport. I got a flight out. I'm going to be gone. But then maybe we can meet next week, right? I was going to be
Hmm.
gone most of the week. And he's like, just having bullshit conversation. None of it is actually very compelling or anything really.
Right.
And but I'm taking there's time time in between responding because I'm trying to get shit done, right? Like I'm trying to check in at the airport. This was the first time I did not book my own travel, so I'm like trying to get my figure out how to check in and get my boarding pass when I don't when it's not connected to my own personal account and all of this. And he says, you don't seem like you're really into talking to me right now. So I guess I'm like, you know what? I am at the ticket counter at the airport trying to take care of my business. So how about I just contact you back when I get back to Oklahoma? And he says, that's fine. Yeah, I did not contact him back because by the time I got back, I'm like, you know what, little boy? No, no, no.
What is
And
wrong with people?
and I see a lot of discourse online about ghosting is toxic and blah blah blah. You know what?
Some people deserve to be ghosted or
Well,
need to be ghosted.
I ghosted a different guy off of Tinder. because we'd been having a nice conversation. We were planning on meeting and all of this, and things seem to be going fine. And then 2 a.m., my phone wakes me up and it's a fucking dick pic. I'm like, I haven't even met you in person. And you're waking me up with an unsolicited dick pic. No, he got ghosted. He got blocked immediately. If he cannot deduce that his foolishness is why he got blocked, that is not my problem. And I don't care how toxic people think that is. That is bullshit
Like,
behavior on his part, and
for real.
I am not
Like,
obligated to spell it out in crayon for him.
like if I want dick pics or nudes or something, like I will ask for them or make it very explicitly clear that I'm okay with you sending them to me. Because there's some people that I'm very okay with getting them like all the time, like just whenever, just
Right.
know like if I don't answer you immediately after you send it, it might be because I'm at work or like like whatever. But there are certain people that know like they could just send that to me whenever because I'm like, thank you. But I just getting it like unsolicited from like a new person that you've never met in person before. I'm just like, bro, like we weren't even talking about this. Why are you sending this to me? I don't.
Right.
And it's always just not even like good pictures either. It's like grainy and blurry, can't really tell what's happening. I don't understand like why you would choose that one to send to me. I like, and
You know
I
my
had
rooster.
someone over the other day who I
Uh-huh.
matched with on Tinder, and our conversations were good, like when we were texting and stuff, and like we talked on the phone a couple of times, which I didn't really like, 'cause I don't like talking on the phone, but like I did it because he said that's like how he prefers to communicate, and I was like, okay,
I
like I'll do
know.
this,
I
whatever.
saying the one I've been talking to likes the phone, and I'm like, I don't really like the phone. He's been really nice about it, but I'm like, okay, fine, I will take a phone call.
I hate it. I hate it so much. But then he came over and we were gonna have like a movie night, and he was telling me like the whole like 3 days beforehand that he was gonna
Mhm.
bring like food to cook, and like we were gonna do like all the stuff because he worked as like a chef for a little bit at like a hibachi or something. And I was like,
Mhm.
cool, sweet. I'm excited for food. I didn't eat for like a few hours before he was supposed to come over because I was like, I'm gonna eat all this food. It's gonna be fucking great. I'm excited.
Mhm.
Um, he gets there. He had been drinking a little bit and drove to my house, and I was like, that's gross. I don't like that. Like, don't drink and drive, people.
Right.
Um, I was like, he's already here. Like, I'm gonna not kick him out so he can like at least be sober and like we'll still
Sober
hang
up.
out and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, he didn't bring any of the food and stuff that he said he was gonna bring, which is like fine, but like don't like tell me that that's what's gonna happen
Let
because
me
I didn't
plan
eat.
accordingly.
Yeah, and like you'd been telling me this whole entire time, and even like that morning you were telling me like you were gonna bring it, and so I was like, cool, sick, sweet. Um,
Yeah.
and that was annoying. And he kept making like weird sexual comments, like while we were sitting on the couch watching scary movies. And I was just like, bro, this is real fucking weird.
He's like, I am not here to watch this movie.
And I had told him earlier, like that day, I was like, I'm not having sex. Like I'm on my period. I don't feel good. Like I'm crampy. I don't want to have sex, but I do want to like hang out and like watch movies and stuff if that's
Mhm.
okay. And he was like, absolutely. Like we never have to like do anything if you don't want to. And I was like, nice, good answer. Because if you had said anything else, I would have told you not to come over.
Right.
Um, and so he never like he didn't try to like get me to have sex with him or anything, but it was just like real weird. And so I messaged him the next day and I was like, I don't think this is gonna like work out. I didn't like vibe with you in person. And
Mhm.
sometimes you have to like meet in person with somebody to like figure that out because texting is different.
Yes.
And he was like really nice about it at first, and then he was like, it's okay, like I'm just used to things not going my way. I blocked him after that.
Yeah. Definitely.
I was like, bro, like I told you all this stuff up front.
So dramatic.
Like, and I told you, like, I was honest with you and didn't just like ghost you, which I could have. I could have just been petty and bitchy about it and just not, like just
And
ghosted you
this
and
is
not
why we
answered you.
ghost them, because they have these
Then
dramatic.
guilt trip you and be
Right.
dramatic.
And that's the thing. And I know a lot of, and it's almost always younger people that keep telling me ghosting is wrong. But I'm like, you know what? At this point in my life, I have learned how to tell when, and it's the majority of the time, your no is going to be taken as the start of the negotiation.
Yeah. And no,
So
like,
they want to know the reason why, not because they actually need to know the reason why, but because that's where they can start trying to change your mind. And I'm not
mhm,
interested in that.
yeah, like
The
if I say
not
no, like
hearing
it's gonna
from
be
me
a no.
again, right? Not hearing from me is the no they need. They don't need the explanation.
You don't owe them one. You don't owe an explanation to anybody. Like for any like thing like that, like just saying no is like is enough. Like you shouldn't have to like tell anybody anything else about it. Like it just drove me crazy. I was like, this is this is why I currently only have one partner. And being on Tinder and Hinge and all that other shit, I'm just like annoyed being on there. Or it's like
Mhm.
real one-sided conversations,
Yeah.
like asking people questions and like trying to get to know them and like all that. And then they answer, but then they never ask you any questions. Just like, friend, why are you on here? Like, if you just want to hook up, that's fine. But like, say that instead of like trying to have these weird one-sided conversations with me.
So I changed my here's a little experiment for you. I kept getting all these like because I had an actual bio in there, right? And
Hmm.
it was like to make things very clear. I'm non-monogamous. So then I got people weird about I got guys who are weird about I'm more educated than them. I'm like, what difference does it make? Like,
Right.
and they were all weird. And I'm like, we're not like I'm just looking for something. So I changed it to just looking for something casual. That is all it says. Because I got
Hmm.
tired of these guys seriously talking about like wanting to, looking for me, I would make a good wife. And I'm like, my bio literally said I will not be your wife. Like,
Ugh.
you know. So when I did that, they don't even think they need to have a conversation with me. I now get the messages where they just send me their number, they just send me their Snapchat, or one of them was just literally all he said was, "When are you available?" Yeah, they all got blocked real quick. Because I'm
Like
like,
just because I say
no,
something casual does not mean I don't want that conversation to make
I
sure you're
still,
not a serial
right. Like, we
killer.
don't want, like, that was what I was going to say. I still have to know that you're not going to murder me when we meet. Like, I need to have a little conversation to
Ugh.
learn. Like, no.
Even when I
I mean,
was
even
doing
when
like
I did
sex work
sex
and shit,
work,
I was
even when I
literally
did,
gonna say the same thing.
yeah, I had to have more conversation with clients than that. Like, when are you
Yeah.
available? Fuck you.
It's like you can ask when I'm available and then like we can
Man,
talk beforehand to
I should have sent my hourly rate.
like I require $200 an hour with a $100 deposit up front, please.
That's right.
So know your worth, friends. I just dating is so annoying. And not even just like dating, like just
Well, part of it is
meeting
so
people is
annoying
annoying.
because, well, part of it is so annoying because of this whole ridiculous compulsory monogamy
Yeah.
ideology that's been normalized. And they're like, I'm like, I'm not going to be your property. You're not going, like, we're not doing that. And so, but people have been so conditioned to think that that's normal, and that's the way it should be, that they think if you don't buy into that, you're like less than a person and don't deserve respect.
Yeah. Like I've also had a lot of people get real weird about me not caring about marriage like too, but I've
Mhm.
also had so many people weird about me saying I'm never going to be pregnant and give birth to a child. Like I'm getting my tubes tied on December 5th and I have a countdown going because I'm excited about it. Like, I
Congratulations.
love kids, love working with kids, would love to foster, adopt someday, maybe like whatever. But I'm never going to birth a child.
Right.
Like, my body is not for, like, my body may be built to have babies, but that does not mean that I want to have the babies, you know?
Well, and I mean, pregnancy is too risky to
Especially with my
attempt.
family.
Well, it's too risky to attempt without access to safe abortion care.
Yeah. And
My
like, my family
daughter,
has,
and honestly, the abortion bans are what has my daughter was planning to, was still considering, she's 18 and she was considering having children, but now that we have the abortion ban, she's like, I can't risk that. I'm not going to. So yeah.
yeah. My family has real rough pregnancies, like naturally. Um,
Mhm.
and I am not willing to like go through that. Like, my mom had a real rough pregnancy, my aunt had a real rough pregnancy and had like all of the gestational things that you can have while she was pregnant.
Yeah.
And I'm just not willing to do that. I'm also not willing to pass on all of my family's like health conditions and like just genetic everything. So like, I'm not doing that to a kid. I also don't want to do it to a kid like with how things are going like this next year.
Oh yeah.
Like there are
Yeah.
plenty of kids in foster care that need good homes and like need good families to be with, and like there's some real garbage like foster families out there. Like most of, like I would say a lot of them are like very good foster families and do very well by the kids that they take care of. But there's also like the
But
garbage ones.
yeah.
And like I would rather just foster one day because I know that I could do that at least. It's real weird to me that there's men that are upset that a stranger they've never met before or talked to before like doesn't want to have kids.
So I was talking to Penguin about this, about the right as the election was happening, because he said he was trying to make sense of it, because he's like, I've talked, a lot of the men I've talked to in the last several days, they simply won't vote for her, for Kamala, because she's a woman. And he's like, I try to get the, to tell me, like, explain that to me, and like they can't. And I said, well, I need you to understand. Um, she's saying things like what I'm about to say are going to get me burned at the stake one day.
I'll be right there with you.
It's Christianity's fault.
Hmm.
Because think about it. I said even men that are not, or people in general that aren't practicing Christianity, they're in this country, their worldview has been informed to some degree by Christianity, and especially all of the people that he was talking about were raised in church. So even though they weren't in church now, I'm like, you have to think about during their formative years, they were taught that were a woman was the downfall of all mankind.
Yeah.
Women are inherently bad. And whether they've probably never given it any critical thinking to realize that's what they think, but we that's what we've been told, right? Oh shit, it's 11. I have to go. I had a meeting.
Ooh, sorry.
All right.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. And to be sure you never miss an upload, make sure you turn your notifications on. And please come join us on social media so we can continue these conversations in between episodes. You'll find us at Hypoxia Podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok.